Francisco Art Institute, we were the first fine art school west of the Mississippi. So we've been an enormous part of San Francisco since really, I mean, if you think about it, San Francisco became San Francisco in the late 1840s. So pretty much as soon as San Francisco was a city, this school was part of this community. And so SFAI continues to be a really unique, invested, unusual, one-of-a-kind sort of place. So there's a ton of history to the school. I definitely encourage you to spend some time on our website to look at how much history there is. But a few things I really want to underline, you know, we had the first fine art photography program in the United States that was co-created by Ansel Adams and Minor White. When abstract expressionism was on the West Coast, Clifford Still, Ad Reinhardt, and Mark Rothko were all members of the painting faculty here. You know, Bruce Nauman, we were the first fine art film program. We were one of the first schools that recognized social practice and intervention, and other types of unique practices that ended up forming our current new genres program. So, and people that are currently really still pushing those boundaries of communication, of experience, and what it means to be a practitioner of fine art are members of this community. So I can't underline enough how diverse that community is, people coming from so many different perspectives, all fine artists and all making incredible and intentional work, but coming from a lot of different perspectives. So this school is really designed to take what you already do and to push that and take it as far as possible. Part of that is being in San Francisco. You know, so much about San Francisco is the opportunity to form your own identity and to bring that identity to a larger audience. You know, a lot of established cities like New York and LA have such a long-running kind of hierarchy that it's very difficult for people that are doing new and inventive things to kind of get in on the ground floor and make a difference. Whereas, you know, you can see the enormous number of alumni spaces that there are. One of those spaces, City Limits Gallery, you know, Evan Reiser started that gallery out of his apartment while he was still a graduate student. And when he finished the MFA in 2013, City Limits got a more permanent space in Oakland. And within, I think, their first year and a half, they were named one of the 12 best spaces in the Bay Area, the 12 spaces that you had to check out. So I think, you know, what our alumni are doing in terms of not just developing art practice, but really also thinking about ways of communicating and ways of developing an audience and ways of investing themselves at multiple levels in the community, both locally and internationally. You know, a huge part of that is San Francisco. You know, it's this home of entrepreneurialism. It's this home of experience. It's a home of experimentation. So museums, galleries, the public art movement, you know, there are so many different levels to this city and so many different things that you can experience while you're here. Besides all of the, you know, normal fun things, you know, eating, national parks, just experiencing the city. And I think the students that get the most out of the MFA here are really those that take advantage of the enormous diversity of things that you can do off campus, as well as taking advantage of what's happening on campus. So in terms of the MFA, there are multiple options for the MFA, including the low residency and dual degree. We're going to focus today on the full-time MFA program, and I work with those other programs. I'm happy to answer any questions for those of you that have more detailed questions about some of those other programs. But the MFA, you know, the curriculum is very straightforward. It's centered really around your work and both your formal and conceptual development. So the academic portion of the class, there are 3 art history and 2 critical studies classes that you take. Those classes vary in terms of topic, but all of them include intensive readings in art history, art criticism, social theory, philosophy. They're usually discussion-based classes, and there's opportunities to write papers, both response papers and longer form papers, symposia and other types of presentations, and often other types of collaborative projects. As far as the studio classes, there are 3 different types of studio classes. The graduate critique seminar is a group critique, usually in a class with 10 to 14 of your peers and a faculty member. You'll show whatever you're doing independently in the studio, usually 2 or 3 times over the course of the semester, and the rest of the time you'll be critiquing your work. You'll be critiquing the work of your peers. The tutorial is a one-on-one dialogue with a faculty member, and those are both centered around your independent work. So there's no one mandating the number of pieces you make, the type of work you make, how formally or informally it's presented. Those are all decisions that are at your discretion, because it's your opportunity to develop in the ways that you want to develop, and you developing the ability to think about what those things are. So it's very different than a traditional kind of stair-step curriculum. Electives and also topic seminars at the graduate and undergraduate level are the discipline-specific classes that you'll take. The graduate classes that are electives tend to be more conceptually based, and the undergraduate classes tend to balance form and concept a little bit more evenly. It's really, again, where you want to go with your practice and where you think that your art can best be developed. So you really, you also, sometimes those classes are to shore up an existing skill set. Other times they're an opportunity to experiment with new media. And the second year, you continue to take those classes. There are less academic requirements in the second year. And the focus really is on your final exhibition, your final MFA presentation, and really what you want to do when you get out of school. The best thing about this really elective-driven curriculum is that you can organize it around your individual goals, both as an artist and what you want to do in your career. So these are some examples of sample courses. And when I said, the combination of concept and form, looking at better painting through chemistry. So looking not only at making a painting, but the composition and what it means to make your own paints. Looking at, vernacular landscape, which is a much more specific kind of zone of photography. So there are so many different classes that I think are very specific to this place, and these electives are unique every semester. So there's also a lot of opportunities as a student to insert yourself into the kinds of classes that you're taking, the kind of community you're part of. Again, with the academic classes, these are course descriptions for some of our critical studies offerings. The art history offerings are equally as varied. So it's really a chance to shore up and develop the conceptual foundation of your work, to learn about resources that may already be related to the ideas that are connected to your work. And again, these are unique each semester, so you really have a lot of opportunity to play and think in new ways. Again, another layer on top of this curriculum is the interaction that you have with other individuals around campus. Our artist talks and lectures are an incredible part of this community. In addition to the large lectures that these artists do when they're here, they also often do smaller conversational symposia, studio visits, and there are often classes in the curriculum designed to interact with these artists. So for example, last Friday, Thomas Hirschhorn was here. He gave an incredible lecture on campus where he very specifically focused on the Gramsci Monument that he created in New York I think it was maybe 2 years ago, but he went very much in detail into his process and how that, like his own definition of monument. In the introduction, there were shown photographs of the studio visits that he did with several of the graduate students, and that was connected back into the lecture. So having these layers and developing these connections is a huge part of this experience. Exhibitions are another amazing aspect of the ways that you can engage with the community outside of class. The Diego Rivera Gallery is one of the central galleries on campus. It highlights both undergraduate and graduate work. all of our spaces on campus are juried. So this space is actually juried by an outside community of influencers and alumni that select the works. And work in the Diego Rivera Gallery changes out once a week. So there's constant community around the space. There's artist talks and receptions every Tuesday. And there's also opportunities to be involved in the running of the gallery if that's something that you're interested in. One of the things I mentioned was the opportunity to develop other career goals in addition to your artwork. Many of our students are interested in curation, or as I've already mentioned, starting their own spaces. Work in the Diego Rivera Gallery is one of those opportunities. Another is the Swell Gallery. That's our graduate student gallery, and it's curated and run by graduate students. The exhibitions in that space change out every 2 weeks. And then the Walter and McBean is basically a contemporary art museum on our campus, but it has the opportunity and flexibility of having much more unique and kind of boundary-pushing programming. The current work by Jill Majid she's had a number of shows that have been internationally reviewed, so it's been really exciting seeing the engagement of the community with the work and this stage of the exhibition. And oftentimes when these artists, who are usually internationally recognized artists, both emerging and established, it gives our students a chance to engage with them as during the install, during the deinstall. Oftentimes they'll lecture or engage with the community in other ways when they're showing in the space. And speaking of the space, so SFAI is an enormously interdisciplinary space. Whether you choose to emphasize in a specific discipline or not, you have an enormous leeway to experiment cross-disciplinarily. So all of our students, so long as they've passed mandatory safety and skills training, have access to the facilities. So if you're interested in experimenting with ceramics, if you have an interest and experience in printmaking, but you're not necessarily into taking a class in printmaking again, you have a lot of leeway that many schools that are larger, SFAI has around 500 total students. So we're a small, tight-knit community that gives our students a lot of opportunities to engage in a lot of different ways with the community. Another thing that's definitely important to mention is that SFAI will have a new graduate center that will open fall of 2017. They actually showed us some of the shots of the progress of the construction during a meeting today. It's really exciting to see how it's shaping up. We definitely recommend when people come by to do a walking tour. It's also a lovely walk to the Chestnut campus. It's just about 20 minutes, a 20-minute walk away. So it's going to make everything on the Chestnut campus so accessible to the graduate students that are going to have their studios at Fort Mason. And so the faculty. SFAI's faculty are enormously diverse, and they're all practicing artists. So they're all actively already doing the thing that you may already be doing or have a set goal that you want to do. Some of our faculty have been here for 2 years, some have been here for 40. And they reflect that range of different approaches to practice, that range of different ways of thinking about how to approach a career. Starting out in the 70s is very different than starting out now. Continuing to establish your career. And, part of the benefit of the tutorial and critique structure of the curriculum is that you're really organically developing relationships with your faculty. Everything here is designed to mirror the contemporary art world. So it's, rather than following a set structure, it's really built in, you're learning the tools that you'll need to succeed and the habits that you'll need to have when you're practicing as an artist after school. So the application requirements for the MFA are quite straightforward. The completed application fee, official college transcripts from all the schools that you attended previously, especially the school where you completed your bachelor's degree. If you plan to complete your bachelor's degree before you after you apply, you would just need to send an updated transcript before starting. 2 letters of recommendation, and recommenders don't need to be necessarily professors, but they absolutely should be individuals that are familiar with your practice as an artist. Then the portfolio and artist statement, those are really the focus of your application. We're going to do another one of these virtual events in December with Professor Jeremy Morgan, where we're going to go much more in detail with the portfolio. But I will say, just the way to think about it is our committee really wants to see a cohesive body of work. So if you were to install a solo show tomorrow, what would that look like? And that level of awareness and detail in terms of the organization and recreation of the experience of your work is really what the committee is looking for. And then your artist statement should really be designed, it's about 1 page, and should create a context for the understanding of that body of work that the committee is looking at. So while some personal details are really helpful, they're really there to set the stage. It's not a personal statement, it's really an artist statement. And then, so those are the application requirements. The priority deadline is January 15th, 2017 for the fall 2017 semester, and is November 15th for the spring 2017 semester. In terms of financial aid and fellowships, all students are automatically considered for fellowship at the time of admission review. Again, I strongly recommend you take advantage of one of our on-campus events, one of the graduate portfolio days that are happening around the country this fall, or giving us a call and setting up a one-on-one portfolio review for a chance to get feedback on your work. That's the primary focus of the Graduate Faculty Review Committee's decisions regarding fellowship. Students are also considered for need-based aid. I strongly recommend submitting the FAFSA at the same time that you apply. Students also have the eligibility to do teaching assistantships. Teaching assistantships at SFAI are really that. They're assisting a teacher. They're incredible learning experiences for our students that have interest in going on to be teachers. And so you're really working one-on-one with the teacher. Those are paid by a 1-semester stipend. For last fall, the rate was set at $1,375 for the semester. That's broken into biweekly payments. There are also a range of other jobs on campus. Students also do a wide range of other projects. Some have been doing long-term projects with the McBean galleries. Something new is always happening. So the students that get the most out of this experience are the ones that are taking advantage of every possible way to engage with the community and to engage their work and to really become a part of this really amazing community. So SFAI is not for everyone, but this was a place that I got my graduate degree. It's a place that changed the way that I think and make, and has, done so much for everything that I've wanted to do. So I really hope you enjoyed the presentation, and I'm looking forward to your questions.